It started like any ordinary evening. Dim lights, soft jazz humming through the restaurant, and the quiet rhythm of two hearts pretending not to care too much. Stan adjusted his collar nervously as he glanced across the table. Megan looked radiant under the amber glow of the hanging lamp, her eyes reflecting the dance of candlelight.
Oh.
The night had been good. Laughter, teasing, stories that came to icily, and then came that moment.
Oh.
"Let's split the bill," she said playfully, reaching for her purse. Stan chuckled, pretending to consider it. "Split the bill? Come on, Megan, I've got this one." She smiled faintly. "You sure?" "Absolutely. Dinner's on me. He can thank me later." He tried to make it sound casual, but his voice betrayed something deeper, the small, unspoken hope that maybe this evening meant more than just a meal. Warmth of the moment began to cool. Megan hesitated, her eyes narrowing, as if she'd just spotted the line between generosity and expectation. "Thank you," she said softly. "That's kind of you." And then she excused herself, heading toward the restroom. Stan smiled to himself, swirling the last sip of his drink. He thought he'd done well, that he'd impressed her. He had no idea the night was about to turn into something far more complicated than he could ever imagine. 5 minutes passed. 10, then 15.
Oh.
No sign of her. The waiter came by, awkwardly glancing at the untouched dessert. Stan's confidence began to fade into confusion. Rose from his seat, glanced toward the hallway, and that's when he saw it. Her coat remained, draped elegantly over the back of her chair like a ghost that refused to leave. Megan was gone. Hours later, in a quiet apartment across town, Megan stood before the mirror, wearing something that wasn't hers, a crisp white shirt, a navy tie, a jacket that fit too perfectly not to belong to someone else. She smirked at her reflection. "This kitty likes to play," she whispered. For her, it wasn't about revenge. It was about balance, the unspoken test between expectation and equality. But she didn't expect Stan to follow. When the doorbell rang, she froze. Then came the knock, firm, unforgiving. "Megan," a familiar voice called. "Open up." Her heartbeat stumbled. How did he find her? The door creaked open, and there he was, standing in the doorway with the faintest smirk. "Well," Stan said, crossing his arms, "you look good." "I was wondering where my favorite jacket went." Megan's lips curved into a sly smile. "I told you, it looks better on me." He took a step closer. "You think this is funny?" "I think it's fair," she replied. "You wanted to play the gentleman? I wanted to see if you meant it." There was a silence, thick, electric. "So this was some kind of lesson?" he asked. "Call it a win-win," she said. "You learned something about women. I get a free outfit." Stan laughed, shaking his head in disbelief. "You're impossible." "Maybe," she said, stepping closer. "But you like that about me?" The tension was broken by a sudden heavy knock at the door. "Megan, Lucille, Andres," a voice boomed. "Open up, police." Her eyes widened. "Oh, come on." Stan blinked in confusion. "Wait, you called the cops?" she whispered. "No, but I think you're about to meet my colleagues." The door burst open. A uniformed officer stepped in, eyes sharp. "You're under arrest for burglary and breaking into private property." Stan's jaw dropped. "What?" The officer's tone didn't waver. "You have the right to remain silent." Wait, Megan interjected, trying not to laugh. "You can't be serious," but the officer was. Before she could protest, cold steel cuffs wrapped around her wrists. The room went silent. "Stan," she whispered, locking eyes with him. "You can explain, right?" Stan hesitated. "Explain what?" "That you stole my clothes and disappeared after dinner?" Her expression softened. "Stan, just trust me." An hour later, inside a fluorescent-lit interrogation room, Megan sat across the table, her composure unwavering. The same confidence that charmed him at dinner now had, an edge part fire, part control. A senior officer entered. "What's going on here?" The rookie beside him shifted nervously. "Sir," she broke into his apartment. The senior officer's eyes narrowed. "Do you know who she is?" He turned to Stan, then back to Megan. "Prosecutor Andres," he said slowly. "You're supposed to be off duty." Stan blinked. "Prosecutor?" Again smiled faintly. Surprise. The senior officer sighed, rubbing his temples. "Officer, uncuff her." Now, As the cuffs came off, Stan felt a rush of guilt flood through him. She wasn't just another date. She was someone who fought for justice every day. And here he was, completely misjudging her. But Megan didn't seem angry. She stood, brushed off her sleeves, and walked toward him with quiet confidence. "Don't worry," she said softly. "I can handle it." Outside, in the dim hallway, the air between them shifted again. "Megan," Stan began, his voice low. "I didn't mean for this to happen. I just thought that I was a thief," she teased. "That you disappeared because you didn't care." Her expression softened. For the first time that night, her eyes reflected something honest, a quiet understanding beneath all the games. "I didn't disappear," she said. "I just needed a moment." "A moment to what? To remind you and myself that a woman's choices aren't a test or a prize?" Stan nodded slowly. "I get that now." She looked at him for a long time. "Do you?" He sighed. "I thought paying for dinner made me look like the good guy, like I was showing I cared. But you're right, it shouldn't mean anything more than kindness." "Exactly," she said. "The moment it becomes about expectations, it stops being about respect." They stood in silence, the hum of city lights echoing in the distance. Then Megan smiled. "You know, despite the cuffs and the drama, I actually had a good time tonight." He chuckled. "You call this a good time?" She laughed softly. "Well, it's one I'll never forget." As they stepped out into the cold night, the city glowed like 1,000 restless stars. "Megan," he said hesitantly, "can we start over? Start over?" "Yeah, no games, no assumptions, just dinner." She raised an eyebrow. "And who's paying this time?" He smiled. "We'll flip a coin," she grinned, her laughter slicing through the night like music. "Deal." Then she paused, her tone softening. "But Stan?" "Yeah, next time. Don't try to impress me with money. Impress me with honesty." He nodded. "Fair enough." They stood there for a moment, the city's noise fading into the background, replaced by something quieter, something human. Megan turned to leave, her heels echoing on the pavement, but halfway down the street, she stopped and looked back. "You coming, or what?" she called. Stan jogged to catch up, a smile tugging at his lips. "I thought you were giving me a choice." She winked. "You still have one? But this time, I hope you choose right." And as they disappeared into the night, the story of two stubborn hearts unfolded not as a perfect romance, but as a reminder. A reminder that love isn't a transaction. It's a conversation, one where respect is the only real currency. Sometimes the best love stories aren't about passion or perfection. They're about learning the hard truth behind connection. Stan and Megan, didn't he find love in a restaurant or in a restroom? They found it in understanding. Because when pride fades and empathy steps in, that's when real relationships begin. So, the next time you're sitting across from someone special, remember, kindness isn't a contract. It's a choice.